Does Revelation 14, verse 13, speak of an ongoing judgment for infinity? As full preterists assert. That's the question. This is going to be a short video. I'm going to respond. I started responding yesterday to Betty Meyer in one of the groups. I think it was Full Preterism, I think of the past group. And I lost it all. So I did quite a bit of typing. So I'm just going to do a video in a bit. But I'm going to touch on this verse. Because this verse is used a lot by full preterists to show that there's an ongoing judgment for infinity. You know, didn't put all his enemies under his feet in AD 70. He still has enemies today. Obviously, the unjustified are called enemies of God. They have the wrath of God on them. All of us have the wrath of God abiding on us. We see this in Romans 1:18 through 3:18. We see this in Ephesians 2:3 and in other places. But let's get to the text. Revelation 14:13. I'm reading from the New American Standard, which I believe she used as well. But this isn't really a response to Betty. I will be responding to her in a few minutes. But I wanted to just look at this text that is brought up, and let's just look at the context. Does it speak of an ongoing, after the second coming, there's an ongoing judgment for infinity of sinners? God's dealing with sin and sinners for infinity? Or is it speaking of a specific people before the parousia? Let's see. Revelation 14:13. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, "Write, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, so that they may rest from their labors, for their deeds follow them," or will follow them. That's the verse. But if we take a look at Revelation chapter 14, we see clearly this is speaking of the 144,000 on Mount Zion. They're standing on Mount Zion, which of course Zion being restored is all through the prophets, Isaiah 40 through 66, Ezekiel 36, 37, 39, Jeremiah, so on and so forth. So that's a big motif in the prophets, and we see Zion being restored in Revelation chapter 20, 11 through 22. But let's see here. And they sang a song to the Lord, sort of like the Song of Moses, but they sang a new song with the 24 elders. This is the 144,000. This is the first fruits. This is the first fruits. And let me see here. Then we have the angels giving messages. One preaching the gospel, the everlasting gospel to every nation, tribe, and people. The other to fear God, worship Him as Creator. One, Babylon is fallen. Another one speaks, if verse 9, if anyone worships the beast and his image and receives a mark on his forehead or in his hand, he will drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is mixed in full strength, in the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Verse 11, and the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever. They have no rest day or night, those who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. Verse 12, here is the perseverance of the saints. Perseverance of the saints. This is a particular group of people. Here's the perseverance of the saints who keep the commandments of God and have their faith in Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven, verse 13, our text, saying, "Right, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, so that they may rest from their labors, for the deeds will follow them." Verse 14, we have the parousia. This is before the parousia. Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and sitting on the cloud was one like the Son of Man, having a golden crown on his head and a sharp sickle. So this is the harvest of Isaiah chapter 63. We see in the prophets, we see in the prophets the wine of God's wrath. Like Christ said, "Let this cup pass from me." That's the cup of God's trembling, of His wrath. This is taken from the prophets. I think Jeremiah speaks of speaks in this type of language, but this is taken from Isaiah as well, Isaiah 60 or 63, I believe. There's nothing different here when it comes to that. The wrath of God, he's using that language. And he's also going to Isaiah, I believe, 29 and 30, not just Isaiah 34. When he speaks of the smoke rising forever and ever, I believe he's taken that from Isaiah chapter 29 and 30, which 29 through 37 is one section in Isaiah, which is speaking of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Now, so this is a specific group of people at a specific time before the parousia. This is people that have not worshipped the beast or the image and received his mark. This is who, he says, right, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Why? Well, in verse 12, their perseverance. They persevered through the persecution. Then we have the parousia, verse 14. Beautiful. How hard was that? But so this is a proof text for full preterism. Not at all. Not at all. It's not a proof text at all. If I was a full preterist, I wouldn't use it as a proof text for a text because it's dishonesty. Anyway, that's about it for that. Very short, very sweet.